Joining me tonight, Gordon Chang, columnist, best-selling author, senior fellow at the Gatestone Institute, Great American. Gordon, great to have you with us. Let's start with the China trade talks. Hard to get a read on what's going on, particularly since there's no paper, as the president's saying the papering will follow here. But it seems like an amorphous series of somewhat agreement rather than a rigid and predictable and predictive process that results in an agreement. What do you think?
I think there are understandings between the U.S. and China. I wouldn't call them a deal because, as both sides have said, they need additional meetings in order to paper them over and actually
Well,
document.
the vice premier called it a pause. Yeah, that was an interesting construction.
Yeah. Well, what the Chinese have done is, after the October 11th meeting in the Oval Office, Vice Premier Le He stood there and President Trump said, look, the Chinese are going to buy $40 to $50 billion of U.S. agriculture. And then after that, Xinhua News Agency, which is the official media outlet, said, no, we didn't agree to do that. So,
and by the way, they're apparently buying soybeans in Brazil. That's where they've upped the ante.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a translation problem.
Yeah, well, they've actually bought some from the U.S. as well. But, you know, if the Chinese felt that there wasn't a deal, it was up to the vice premier on October 11th in the Oval Office to tell that to President Trump. And it's not to do it afterwards, which shows the Chinese, again, are reneging on their trade commitments to the United States. It's not like this is the first time. They've done this deal after deal after deal, Lou.
The president making it very clear that he's optimistic about it. He thinks things are going well. There is then caution from some quarters of the administration. There is the ubiquitous and constant ebullience of Larry Kudlow and Steve Mnuchin. Where does that lead us?
Well, it leads us to the middle of November, when President Trump meets Xi Jinping, the Chinese ruler, in Chile at the APEC, Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit. And, you know, at that point, if they don't have a deal, then the skeptics will have been right. You know, there are going to be discussions between now and then between Lighthizer, the U.S. trade representative, and people in Beijing. And maybe they'll be able to paper over a deal. This is one of those things where it could happen. I don't think it actually will, though.
We're watching Steve Schwarzman and the boys on Wall Street. They are operating as unregistered agents of China. They are reportedly inundating the White House, pressuring the White House and the president as best they can. They've got Kudlow and Mnuchin operating as internal, what would you say, catalysts for their views and values. As well as, of course, Myron Brilliant, the genius over at the Chamber of Commerce and all the folks they represent. This is a corporatist sellout by any name for China against the interests of the United States.
But on the other side, Lou, we've got Lou Dobbs, and we've also got most of the American people, I think, of both political parties, because everyone knows China's a bad actor, that they always renege on their deals, and we can't trust them. So, you know, I hope that that is the side that wins. But, yeah, you're right. I am worried about Wall Street, the Chambers of Commerce, the Koch organization, all the rest of it ganging up on the president.
They're ganging up. I have to say at this point, we should remember that would make it a fair fight. This president is committed, and he's made it very clear that he is committed to the American working man and woman, the middle class of this country. And those are the folks who he sees as his base and as the essential Americans. Gordon, it's great to have you with us. We thank you so much. It'll be interesting to see.
Thanks, Lou.
Gordon Chang.